I can't wait. I'm going to save it for like nighttime. It'll be like, some people go to popcorn and movies. I'm going to go to Colin's Trader View. See what's going on. Good morning, everybody. All right, man, let's take a look at the markets real quick, then we'll go into all these stocks. Mr. Pearson, did that make sense on Intel, though? All right, we got gap up in the QQQs. Shocker, right? There's always a gap up in the QQQs. This market is so resilient. If you saw yesterday, man, the market was getting smoked down at the open, and it had a nice fade even the previous day, and these dips are getting bought up. If you saw how the market was behaving, man, the market was down like 200 points or 180 points, and you're like, here we go, because we've been looking to, I've been looking to try to short something for a while. I love shorting, and market was dipping down, and then boom. I mean, it trended up pretty much all day. This is the market that we are in. This is a product of trend and everything else. Hey, we can't fight it. We just got to love it. We just got to love it so that it's good. Uptrends are great because you can make your nut in a handful of months. There's a couple things to be aware of today. Number one, it is Friday. Fridays are notoriously tricky. Last week, we smoked everything all week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It was literally just hot heat. And then what happens Friday? We just sat around. There was like 2 good trades in the morning, and then it just died down. Same thing the week before in the chat room. We were just crushing it. Monday, crush. Tuesday, crush. Wednesday, crush. Thursday, crush. Friday, there's like 1 or 2 trades in the morning. We sat around. So be mindful that not only is it Friday, but we also have a gap up in the market. You see we close here, and we gapped up. The gaps up in the market take a little bit of the range out of it. Now, we do have, some news out. We got all this coronavirus stuff going on. They got now, quarantines happening. Who knows what's going on in China? They don't even let you use Facebook and shit, right? So, guess what? They're just running around, eating on these bat soups, and quarantining everybody. Man, it's like Agent Orange over there. Man, I saw this sick... Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I saw this guy on Twitter post this, man. This is like some population control type stuff. Man, look at this thing. Man, that don't look like virus protection, man. That looks like population control right there. Could you imagine you're living around in this city? There is not a single chance you could do proper procreation with all that fumigation happening around, right? So if anybody's living in China, do not have sex with your woman's or your men's, because your spermies are going to be looking very, very funky. Now, who knows? This could all be like fake news, right? But it seems like these are real buildings. I don't know. This guy seems like a nice guy. He seems like an Indian guy, right? Seems like a fantastic, nice Indian guy. But he's only got 100 followers, so who knows? But there's all sorts of random stuff going on. You're going to see this type of news everywhere. So we definitely want to keep an eye on some of these vaccine plays. Now, the thing is, we're not going to probably play any of the vaccine plays, but there's 2 types of plays you can do on these. Number one, you have the vaccine plays, and then the second part is the actual Chinese companies, right? You have Chinese companies that have been getting hit the last few days, so those are also ideas that we can play. So let's talk about a couple of these. NVAX here, man. If this thing rips over 8, I think that this thing could go. Now, look, this is a pump. I've seen this in, all these kind of endemic kind of scares. We had the Ebola one like 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they all come back down. But for a couple days, these things can really go. mRNA is another one that's got a decent looking chart. They could run APT, and this is only if you like small caps. What you want to do is wait for volume, and then wait for some type of consolidation pattern, and then you let these things rip. INO actually seems like maybe the only legitimate one out of the group, because they actually have some pre-market volume, and the chart's nice. This one is probably going to be less pumpy, but still going to have some heat on it. Lake is frankly the one that historically can move the best. If you saw, yesterday there was not much volume in it. If you saw 1 million shares start to push off in this thing, be careful because they can go. Let me show you a weekly chart, man. A few years ago, so this would have been in 2014, man, we were ripping and riding this thing for like a week straight. Man, it got all the way up to 30 bucks and then it collapsed. So the play on this is as this thing is going over, you can ride the wave and then you just short the crap out of all of them because they are all turds, right? They're all turds. Now, the second part of this type of play is that actual Chinese names have been getting they've been getting very, very volatile too. You see a $2 range in LK today. You know, if this thing starts to break back under the 20 SMA, you know, you'll have more room to fall on this. And then you have some other ones here like Tao. This one's really been getting smoked too. And I think some of these, like when the news cycle changes, right, and they get this thing under control, you'll start to see some really nice bounce opportunities. Like this one's sitting at the 50 SMA, and you know you've come down $10. You know you could get a decent RR on these things if they start to hold. So I think that there's going to be some good ones too. Yum C, this is like the Taco Bell, right? This is the Taco Bell of China, right? This one's come down in decent ways. You have HTHT, which is like a hotel company over here. You can see the big rollover. Now you're getting down to like all sorts of levels of support, you know, support zones here, and you're getting really oversold. I think some of these could have some decent looking bounces. So we definitely want to keep an eye on some of these. So in the meantime, the play is you long the turd vaccine ones while the news is still going, and then you short them, and then you long the Chinese ones that have been beaten down. Does that make sense? Good. Cool. Now let's take a look at the gappers. It's earnings season, so you know you got a whole host of just random stuff that's going to be popping up. Let me go in. Hold on here. Hey, Mr. Olson, what's up, baby? There we go. All right. Let's take a look here. EH, TH. You know what? This one's got a low enough float, so I don't like playing financial companies at all. But if you see the weekly on this one, like you're right at that sweet spot that it's breaking over. And the float on this one is tiny. So like insurance brokers, finance companies stink to trade. This one's got a float that's probably low enough where you may get some action. Now, low float stocks are nice, but there's almost like too low a float. And frankly, like, you know, there might be a little bit of a spread on this, so we have to be somewhat careful. Hey, Julius, how you doing? Anything, as long as it stays over here, I think we can look at longs on this. But if there's a spread, I'm not doing it. So I don't like trading small caps on Fridays, but definitely stocks with big spreads. You don't want to trade those on Fridays either, because it's every blue moon you get smoked by one. And Cincinnati Bell, this is a takeover play. Forget that. Chunk. See, and then INO, this is a vaccine play. NNVC, this is a vaccine play too. Now, this is the thing. This is why they all pumps. See this thing like this NNVC, probably some jerk off alerted this thing and because it's got the tiny float on it. But you see this thing just went from $5 to $13 like relatively quickly. So these like vaccine plays, like if you can catch them at the right time and you want to wait for really like a tight consolidation pattern, if you can catch them at the right time, they can go. But you got to be mindful, like they'll reverse back so hard. So you don't want to really hold these things overnight. At least I personally wouldn't. But you mean you'll get some nice day trades in them. That's for sure. That is for sure. Team, this one is beautiful. So Team is actually, it's a very nice mover. It's a little bit of a more of a larger cap stock, but it is a very nice mover. You can see here, you're coming out of like this range break, and your all-time high is at 150. Like I wouldn't be surprised. You could see it even pre-market, like tossed into the 150 spot. This is probably for us. I think this is the top of the list for today. This stock moves really well. Now, this stock does have a little bit of a spread, too. Did anybody remember when we were shorting this thing a couple months ago, and it's like this particular day here? We took this thing down, like, near the open, and it dropped, like, $10. And then even that same day, it came all the way back, and the spread on it was Ganar, like what it Ganarly would be the proper term. But the spread on it was Ganarly, and next thing you know, like that thing just whips right back. So you gotta be a little bit careful on it. CYOU. Chengyu. Soho to acquire Chengyu for 579 million. It's a buyout. Not much we can do about Chengyu. BLCM, BLDP, junk. Look, some of these stocks like BLDP, like see this thing is like bouncing off support here, but like this is I mean it's already cratered. Like the odds of this thing getting back into 12s is very, very small. It's like you can see like you're getting a little bit of action on it, but once that thing fizzles out, they very rarely come back for a long time. You gotta like search through too many buyers and sellers. The rest of this is all junk. Now the interesting one I thought was BYND. You know, we were shorting this thing up here, but now like you're starting to see, you know, for 2 days this was like our hot long of the day this week. You pulled back to the 9 EMA yesterday, literally just tapped right into it at the open, and you kind of cruise back. Now you're starting to gap up. I wouldn't be surprised to see, like, so you had 1 test, 2 tests. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing curl back higher and go in for that 3rd test. And if it does, I mean, you could see 150s relatively quickly on this one. It looks pretty good. It's been moving really well. I mean, you know, it's a cult stock too. Cult stocks in general, they have their own kind of movements to them. You know, good news is like great news, and bad news is still good news. Does that make sense? Yeah, it could. You know, you'd have to see how it reacts around over here and how it tightens up. You know, right now the range is really loose too, right? 135 to 110, 108, so it's a larger range. So you got to kind of, you know, take that into account anytime you're playing some of these bad boys. All right, let's take a look on the downsides. I would add BYND too, though. You can't ever chase BYND, but it does work well off ORBs. Twice we've shredded this thing for some big ones. Right at the open, like the first 10, 15 minutes, you know, this a couple days ago at a $10 range. And then, right, you know, a couple days before, you ORB to 115, you got a hot spot to 119, then you took a flag break at 119, and, you know, you were off to 125. So 2 days in a row, it's given kind of like that $10 range in the morning. It very well could do that. Now the issue is, like, you know, it's already gapping up like $6. You gotta really let it set up, you know, $6 gap. Let it tighten up a little bit, but you can see here it's already chilling. It's already really marinating here. I like this one. You know, I don't know anything about the company except, you know, it's meatless, but the stock trades well. You're gonna long and short these things anyways when they start to roll over. HSC. Yo, so like, see this, like how, when you look at like gapper trades, like you really want them to be busting down some levels. Like this looks great. Like if it can stay under this 1660, it looks pretty good. My issue on this one is like it's a little bit low liquidity. Obviously at 4,000 shares. You'd have to see how it comes in at the open. Like your best ones, you really want to have them come in like 50,000, 60,000 in the morning, you know, depending on how normal it trades. Coup. Now let's see this DFS. Discover Financial. Another bank? Man. Discover banks stink to trade. This is actually a nice breakdown too. There's another one that started with the S that was also on. But man, see this? Like this one could work. You know, you've got yourself 300 million share float, so it's a little bit thick. But you got a nice break under the 200. Now, it's not normally a big mover. Banks aren't like always like the hottest. You can see this thing's just been sitting around for a while. But anything under that 200, like I think we add it, but I would give that a B minus. You know, if it was a regular, if it was like a tech stock, I would have gave that an A. But bank stock, you grade them on a curve. EPZM, I don't really see anything that's juicy on this. Because it's just like kind of opening down, but it's going to be right into support. Yeah. Pass. SYF. This is another bank stock that could, like you can see here, beat on EPS. Blah, 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 blah. As long as this thing holds under the 200, you could take this into play. Now, if you look here, hold on here. If you look at the ATR on this thing, 50 cents, right? So the average true range on this stock's 50 cents per day. I mean, you really kind of want to see that. Man, if you want something tradable, like you really need that thing to kind of get towards $1.50, $2, you know, depending on the price, of course. 50 cents would be fine if it was like $1, but you know, a $30 stock, not as much range. So that would be my one issue with this one. I don't know how much it shreds, but you could keep it. Just not my cup of tea. I'm into hot heat. You know what I mean? The hottest heat. Unless I'm drunk, then I'll take what I can get. Yeah, no. IPL. Woo! This was actually a pretty nice trend yesterday. Real estate stock, no volume. So it normally does like 500,000 shares. It does have a decent enough range. See, this got like 286 range per day. That's a little bit better. Down 4%, 80,000 volume. I think we add that. That one moves pretty well. Look at the fade on this end of day. 84 down to 81. So that's good enough range. And then 81 down to 75. Very, very nice. It looks like it might have been an offering, but who knows? It moved around pretty well for the most part. I'll watch this one, but it looks like it was an offering. And guys, of course, remember Monday, we got two things on the board. Monday, we got webinar. You know, we haven't done one for the new year yet, so we'll have a new year webinar, what's been working in January, how to make sure you're cooking for the rest of the year, because frankly, this has been the hottest market I've seen for trading in a while, in a long time, especially the last 2 months. It's been a hot market. So Monday, webinar, and then bootcamp starts Tuesday. So make sure I'll email you guys all the links and all the stuff. Well, I probably won't email you guys. I'll put it in the Discord room or something. And, you know, I'll make sure to put it on the bootcamp module page. So bootcamp starts Tuesday. That's 60-day bootcamp. 4 classes a week, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Webinar Monday, of course. And we'll get this thing going. Hot market. This is the best time probably to learn how to trade in a while. You know, we've had, like, say, 2015. Man, that market stayed in range all day. We were still out doing what we do, but it's harder for the new people because you don't have, like, those big, long trends. When you have big, long trends, you don't have to trade as much. You don't have to be as nimble. You know, when you're in range like it was in 2015, man, it's like every entry had to be perfect and everything you had to be a sniper. It's like, boom, perfect entry to the penny, sell for 30, 40, 50 cents, and redo. Now it's like, you know, you add some kind of flag pattern or something, it just runs all day, and you're like, what the fuck? There's a lot of different action going on. Now let's talk all about the regular watch list. Let's talk about the regular watch list. These are just gappers, right? Regular watch list. I think Justin Posma, how you doing? Hey, did you get to St. Martin yet? Netflix, your opening week on this? Red to green on this. You see this monster candle, by the way? This is like a huge reversal candle. Like when you have earnings and you just come down into support, you know, a lot of times these like hot momentum names will go up. By the way, 7% move for Netflix is like really monstrous. Watch for any dips down into the support area too. Man, if we got a little flush at 340, 344, 345 at the open, I think this one could be hot. If this is too expensive for some of you guys, I know you guys all complain like it's so pricey, but I can't buy as many shares. You know, just shred some of the weekly options on them. You can get those for like $1 or $2. And yeah, you get really kind of some nice movement on those too. Check with Taylor, man. He was showing me how he does it, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's not really anything. You just look at the stock trading chart and just hit the fucking option. For the most part, there's a little bit more to it, but it looks pretty good. I keep that on the list. Bum, 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 bum. These pot stocks are flagging out here. They look like they're ready to go. TLRY is a little bit spiky and taily, if you see here, but CGC looks a lot cleaner. This looks like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of stocks. It's very gentlemanly, right? Very orderly. Man, that's nice. Look at that thing. You got to hold it on your 9. You got a nice, nice trend line. You're good to go on that one. That one looks pretty good. SDC also. SDC also looks amazing. Alex Podell, where you been, man? You owe me a phone call. 517-974-1480. Expedia. This one looks great. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests. Frankly, if Expedia busts over this looks like a swing trade. Swing trade's a multi-day hold, right? All the stuff we've been going over today's day trade. This one looks like a swing trade. Anything over this level here, I think that one shreds. That one definitely has got the shred zone on it. Still waiting for this Yeti to break here. This will also be a swing trade if it starts to bust loose. It looks fantastic. Now, all these little China stocks are on watch because of the pandemic stuff. They're going to be able to be traded both ways, but frankly, like you can see, this thing starting to open down weak. If you start to see this thing building towards yesterday's lows, we might get a quick short in this one. It looks fantastic. And the other one I like, and I added a couple hundred shares of this for a starter yesterday, but if you see this one, this could be like kind of a multi-day play too. You got 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 days, down into like some big support here. If it like remounts over this 50 SMA, I think that takes it into the third test. Like, see how you still got a W starting to build? That takes it into the third test into the 60s, and then a breakout into 64. And Alex, by the way, this team is top of the list. Top of the list for today. Jamil, what's up, baby? So that's the list for today. Pots, these gappers, and Chinas. All right? And of course, Netflix. ¿Comprendes? Good. Let's have a little fun. Remember, it's Friday. Try not to screw up. Also remember, webinars Monday. Boot camp starts Tuesday. 4 days a week. We're changing up a couple things in this boot camp because we're getting it going using some different softwares and stuff for the next one to make it more interactive. So this will be in its current form really the last kind of this boot camp we're doing as we supercharge this thing. As always, everybody that takes our boot camps, they can keep taking class as this is a lifetime endeavor. Let's go do what we do, which is the do. And as always, hit the like button if you guys are having fun watching these. I will see everybody in class Tuesday. Be smart. This is a good year to learn how to trade. Be aggressive, but just not too aggressive as it's Friday. Hello, Della. Reed, you ready to go? Let's get that.